Hello and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. Today we'll be talking about Troy football going to a bowl game. Jeremy McClain, Director of Athletics, is here to talk to me about that. And of course, we don't know what bowl game yet. And right now, Troy is bowl eligible. Right. But what we're going to talk about now is the fact that fans out there can go ahead and stake their claim on making this postseason trip with Troy by making a deposit on this. Talk a little about the bowl deposit and how folks can get involved with that at this point. So
we made a decision to go ahead and set up the process to allow our fans to make bowl ticket deposits once we became bowl eligible. So no, we don't know where we're going, if we're going, all those things. What we do know is we're bowl eligible. And so what we did at the end of once we won the South Alabama game on that Thursday night, we pushed out the fact that we're bowl eligible. Here's your opportunity. For $20, you can make your deposit for your bowl tickets. And if for some reason you can't go when the time comes, and we know where we're going and know when the time is, it's a completely refundable deposit. And so we wanted to do that, and a lot of reasons. Number one, we wanted to capture some of the excitement of the season. We wanted our folks to be excited about being bowl eligible, so that was a big piece of it. There's a lot of factors that go into it.
And of course, you're capturing that excitement, which, by the way, let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about that excitement that led to that. Amazing experience for those that were. I was at the South Alabama game. Got to be one of the best football environments I've been around in my time here at Troy. I would think that you've only had a shorter amount of time than I have, but it's got to be a pretty good experience.
Honestly, Aaron, it was the most special thing I've ever seen on the road, no matter where I've been. It's I've seen people travel well and get excited about games, but I was really just blown away by the level of support on a Thursday night. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about a Saturday.
Could you imagine if it had been a Saturday, the kind of Troy crowd you might have had down there?
But so a Thursday night on national television, to have our students show up the way they did. Obviously, our band is wonderful. We had the full sound of the South there, and then our fans, and just to show up in full force and not only to show up, but be engaged really the entire game, and especially in the fourth quarter, which ended up being really special. Just unlike anything I've ever seen.
And of course, back to that, and that's a factor going into the bowl deposits as well. Traveling well and bowl deposits and getting people interested. That interest. Let's get a little behind the scenes here and tell the folks kind of how this works, because we know Troy's bowl eligible, but the number of bowl deposits and the level of interest that people have is going to play a factor in where Troy might ultimately end up.
Sure,
right?
It's not a perfect science. So there are a lot of factors that kind of come into play: location, the geography of the bowl games. We've got 5 bowl tie-ins as a conference now. The Sun Belt does, which is much better than where we were 5 years ago or so. And so we know what 5 bowls we're tied into. That doesn't mean we couldn't, dominoes fall, end up with an opportunity in something outside of those bowls. But those are our 5 tie-ins. And so, like you said, one of the pieces of the puzzle, when you start looking at the selections process and when the conferences and the committees decide on who's going where, if we get in a situation where we're in the mix for a bowl game, and we can say we've got X number of deposits and tickets, this is a sign of how excited our fan base is, how well they're going to travel. That's another feather in our cap, so to speak.
And then being able to show that you've already traveled well once before.
Correct.
And that's why a game like South Alabama and having that national exposure and having a crowd like that could factor in to say, and one of those games is in Mobile, so you can show how well your Trojans could travel to a bowl game to somewhere like Mobile.
Yeah, absolutely, and people don't realize, and there would be no reason for them to know it, but there were several bowl representatives at that game Thursday night. We had a chance to visit with them before the game, and you're right. I think having that kind of showing, playing well, having your fans really show out from the standpoint of traveling well, being very much involved in the game, all part of the big picture when it comes to where do we end up when the bowl season gets here.
And now it is fairly early while we're taping this in the season, but this is going to be going on up until the point until I guess finite where Troy is going. So
that's right. We'll I hope we have a problem where the numbers start getting so large we got to make a decision, but we've got a priority point system there. We'll rank people if that's the case. But that's right. We'll push the bowl deposits really up until it's time to purchase tickets and we know where we're going.
Well, here's hoping that you get a lot of response and there's a good possibility for a good bowl, and this will help push Troy into possibly a better bowl situation, even though with being bowl eligible, we kind of feel safe there. But here's hoping that fans out there can be a part of getting Troy into a bowl and maybe a potentially better bowl out there in the future.
That's the plan. I appreciate it.
Well, Jeremy, thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on today's edition of Trojan Talk.